longest time, my wife and I, we would talk about him, and he'd be like, "Man, that Chad guy in Kansas City, man, he's just killing it, and he's doing this stuff different than the way they teach it, but it's working. So who the hell cares how they teaches it? If it works, let's do it, And so when we kept following him, we're like, man, we at some point we got to meet this guy. And then he starts doing these videos. Oh yeah, I'm going to start doing this marketing, and we're like, oh, no brainer, man. We gotta hitch our wagon to this guy. Chad. I kept seeing him post stuff, and he would post that he was kind of doing things outside of the box. So I thought maybe that's what I need because I'm in the box and it is not working. And so if Chad's making it work his way, maybe I need to go try and work it his way. So it seemed like for the longest time it was like I was almost begging people like, oh, please sell me your house. I really want your house. And now it's like this person I turned away yesterday, man, it felt so good. On one hand, I walked away from some potential money, but it's like you were begging me, like they were trying to talk me into lower like they were like, well, we'll pay for this, we'll fix that. Maybe we'll give you. They offer me a gift card to Home Depot for some appliances, and I was like, and they knew that I was already lower than the guy that they were wanting to sell to. So I thought, man, this feels so awesome. Like they are basically coming to me as opposed to me going after them. It felt so good. Things are starting to pick up a little. Working with Chad, we've kind of got some really steady flow of leads coming in, and then we're starting to convert some. From Wednesday to Monday of this last week, we signed 3 contracts, and we had been working one of those leads for, gosh, was it May now? 2.5 months we were working it, and we finally landed that one. So yesterday, I actually had to turn down somebody that I'd previously given an offer to, but it would have been, I think, 18 or 20,000 bucks on a pretty quick flip. And they called me back after about a month, and they're like, hey, we were trying to sell with another investor, and it fell through. And we got another guy that he's offering more than you, but we like the way everything went with you, and it seemed like you really were just going to make it a super simple process. So even though we can make more money with this other guy, would you be willing to go ahead and stand by your previous offer? And I was like, yeah. Like, I'm sorry, you guys are about a week late, man. I started telling them kind of how busy I was, and I said, I said, if you want to I said, I'll lower my offer 10 grand. I said, that's probably about the only way I could do it. Otherwise, I'm not going to have investors that don't want to stand behind a pretty thin deal like this, because I was going to do that one just out of my pocket. So started off. So I was a project manager for a commercial general contractor. I did that for about 10 years. And the last couple of projects I was on, I was managing, last one was an $85 million hotel up in the Howski Valley Mountains. And it was like 6-7 days a week for a year and a half. And I had to be on site. I wasn't allowed to really have my family up there. And I got 2 young kids, and I was just like, man, this is ridiculous. When the job started, my kids were about a year old. We had some prep work for a couple seasons, and then that big job came in. And it was on my kids' 3rd birthday. I went to their birthday party, and I'm kind of looking at them, looking at some of their friends. I'm like, holy cow, man, I basically have missed the last 3 years of your guys' life. And it just clicked. Like, I was like, man, I got to change something. I can't do this forever. That's when I decided I like, all right, I've got to change industries. So what do I like? What have I always wanted to do? Well, I used to be involved in, I guess, real estate investing as a contractor, I guess, even as a kid. I worked for a guy that he was a family friend. He had like 25 or 30 rental properties in town. And I would paint the houses for him. And then it started going, okay, well, paint the houses and patch the walls. Now paint the houses, patch the walls, and install a new cabinet, that kind of thing. And I always thought, all right, this is what I want to do. I want to be like this guy. And then I go to college, get a real job, get a career, and I forget all about that stuff, kind of the fun time in my life. And so then I started thinking about that old time again. I was like, all right, maybe I really enjoyed that. Maybe I'll do that again. So then I joined a real estate education group, got hooked, and I was like, all right, I can do this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to commit. And so I guess it was March or April of 17 that I quit my full-time job and started focusing on real estate. Well, it kind of turned into one of those things where it's like, well, okay, well, I'm going to take a few months off, and then I'm really going to get into it. I'd been working like a dog, and taking those few months off was kind of like, it kind of made me a little lazy, I guess. And so then I wasn't super motivated. So then it turned into like, well, maybe I'll just go help a friend on the weekend to go do this, or maybe I'll go on a quick little vacation and do that. So a couple months turns into like 6 months, and then it's like, okay, man, I really my bank account's getting pretty thin here, so I actually need to actually take this serious. And so then I really started looking. I land a job, and I thought, I like doing the work. I'm going to do the work. So then, in basically all of 2018, I was flipping this house by myself. Did all of the work myself except the license required work, and that basically ate up all of 2018 for me. And so then, I'm not really building a business doing that. And so then I decided this year, it's like, okay, I've got to just actually hire this stuff out. Well, then when you're hiring it out, you got to have a little bit bigger margins because you're not self-performing the work yourself. And I was having a really hard time finding things that were meeting those criteria to where I could actually hire contractors and still make some money. Because we had been doing marketing throughout 2018, mostly like direct mail, Craigslist, Facebook, a lot of the typical type of marketing campaigns. And man, I bet we were approaching 40 grand in marketing, and we didn't have a single deal out of it. And I thought, man, this is just nuts. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep just pouring money into it. I'm spending money, not bringing in anything. So then I kind of start thinking like, oh man, maybe I just need to stop and go back to my career and get out of this. This isn't going to work. And so that's really when I kind of met up with Chad and got into his marketing deal, and he kind of started giving me some tips and tricks. So I kind of started talking with Chad. We've been killing it. It was just kind of I guess it was a low point, I guess, where I really started looking at the books, and I'm looking at how much we've spent, and I'm kind of going back, looking at the old leads and the old seller lead sheets. And I would always, one of the things that I found really helpful was every single lead that I would miss out on, I would follow up, and I would follow it through to the sale after it was fixed up. And these guys were just whooping my butt there was no way I was ever going to compete with these people. They were selling it at basically the same ARV I had, and they were buying it for $20,000-$30,000 more than I had. And it was consistent every single time. And I was looking at that, and I just thought, you know what? If this is the way it's always going to be, I can't succeed in this business. So I might as well either just give up, or I need to completely change what I'm doing. And all of last year was just like panicking, like, what are we going to do? We're not going to make it. And now this year, it's like, all right, man, we're going to pay all that debt off, and it's basically right there for us, and we're only in May. I thought, this is great. We should be about 160 to 175,000. I think I signed up with him in probably November. It was like the very first group of guys that he put the program together for. It was in November, and honestly, I took off the holidays because I thought, this was me at the time when I didn't have any leads, and I thought, I convinced myself nobody's selling during the holidays, so I'm just gonna kick my feet up and take care of some business, and so I convinced myself to do that. And it really wasn't until probably mid-January or February where I actually really started to implement the stuff that he was telling me to do. And so we ran our first ad second Saturday of February, and literally that Monday morning at 9, I had a call to my answering service with one of the leads that I'm under contract with right now. And so I was like, man, within 48 hours, I was already starting to see stuff come through. It was great. We have a pretty good presence up here, the real estate investing. And I go to these monthly meetings with these guys every month. And for the last freaking 2 years, I go in there, and it's almost like an AA meeting. It's like everybody's sitting around. It's like, does anybody have any deals? No, don't have anything. There's people that have been in there for like 4 or 5 years, never done a deal, and they keep showing up to these meetings. And it was like so depressing, man. I'm like, oh my God. And so I started feeding into that, and I'm like, oh, this is terrible. And so you start convincing yourself, like, well, if they can't do it, I can't do it. This market's just not even possible. Nobody can flip a house here. And then but I obviously I know that's not true, man. You start surrounding yourself with kind of that negativity and the lack of success, and it kind of just starts to bring you down. In my personal life, I would just say overall happy. I'm just a happier person. I'm not as stressed, and now I'm trying to meet contractors. I'm always meeting sellers, and I'm trying to get quotes out. And I've got so much more responsibility now, but I have so much less stress because I know the money is in the pipeline. I'm in a, I, I'll be candid. I've got a lot of debt from having not really done much for the last year and just spending all this money. But the fact that I know the money's coming now, it's like, okay, it's working. I have confidence that our business is going to work and that we're gonna get our way out of this. And so, my wife and I, we talked about, oh, you know what, maybe over Thanksgiving we're gonna go on vacation now. Last year was like, don't you even mention the word vacation. We're not spending any more damn money. It's like, and so my wife and I, we would just start butting heads over stupid stuff, right? Because I think it's pretty typical of most relationships, right? Money is a big issue. And so when we didn't have the money coming in, it was really kind of making a lot of stress on our relationship. And now that we know the money's coming, it's like, okay, we're happy again, and we know we're going to be okay. Seriously. Yeah, there's really something there when I spend a ton of money on marketing or spend big bucks on this, that, or the other. And it's like I don't even really worry because it's like I know how to make the money, and I know I can do it. And so just having that confidence that I have the skill set to do it, it's like, okay, let's go ahead and just pull the trigger, spend that money, and let's keep moving. Chad, I kept seeing him post stuff. He would post that he was kind of doing things outside of the box. So I thought maybe that's what I need because I'm in the box and it is not working. And so if Chad's making it work his way, maybe I need to go try and work it his way. So this time my wife and I, we would talk about him and he'd be like, man, that Chad guy in Kansas City, man, he's just killing it. And he's doing this stuff different than the way they teach it, but it's working. So who the hell cares how they teach it? If it works, let's do it, And so when we kept following him, we're like, man, at some point we got to meet this guy. And then he starts doing these videos. Oh yeah, I'm going to start doing this marketing. And we're like, oh, no brainer, man. We gotta hitch our wagon to this guy because nobody else in town does it. Nobody's ever seen an investor take this route, And so I guess kind of thinking outside of the mainstream investor type of marketing, right? And I'm not stop looking at bandit signs and stop looking at freaking Craigslist and let's do some stuff that nobody else is doing. Biggest benefit to working with Chad is he's found success. And it doesn't matter what the gurus say. You need to work with somebody that's actually successful. I could go on a blog somewhere and say, oh yeah, I flipped 50 houses this year and I made all kinds of money. Okay, well that's great. How'd you do it? Oh, I put up bandit signs and I did this and that and did what everybody else does. Okay, well you probably didn't because everybody else is doing that. So the best people to take advice from are people that are actually in the business, doing the work and finding success. That there's a lot of people that talk the talk, but when it comes down to brass tacks, who's actually getting business and getting it done, those are the types of people that you need to be hitching your wagon to, and not these people